Hi, my name is Terry, and you're watching Terry Tells the Story. Today, we're talking about the 35 gigawatt secret, why the Department of Energy is prioritizing data centers over your home. While most of the country in the United States is watching weather reports for Winter Storm Fern, something much more dangerous is happening behind the scenes at the Department of Energy. Today, February 1st, 2026, Secretary Chris Wright issued a directive that should stop every American in their tracks. The DOE is officially calling on private data centers and industrial sites to release 35 gigawatts of backup power into the grid to prevent a total collapse. To put that in perspective, 35 gigawatts is enough to power nearly 26 million homes. But here's the question no one in Washington is asking. If the grid is this close to the edge, why is the Secretary still firing the very people who specialize in local grid resilience? Today we're talking about the tech first agenda of Chris Wright and what that means for your electricity bill this winter. Secretary Wright has spent the last month telling Congress that he needs to cut community programs to save the taxpayer money. He's called these programs, the ones that help your local hospital or school district manage their own energy, bureaucratic waste. But look at what happened this morning. As the storm hit, the DOE didn't have a plan for the people. Instead, they had a plan for big tech. They are relying on the diesel generators of massive data centers, the same centers that are currently eating up 10% of your national power supply, to act as a last resort for the rest of the American citizens. You're essentially paying the tech giants twice. First, by giving them massive energy subsidies to build these centers, and second, by relying on them to save you because your public infrastructure has been gutted. This is where the missing billions we talked about yesterday comes into play. Think about the emergency responders. We discussed those yesterday as well. The nonprofit specialists who train local fire stations and rural clinics on how to use the battery backups and microgrids. Those people are being handed pink slips today. The DOE is literally removing the experts who teach communities how to be self-sufficient while simultaneously begging corporations to bail out the grid. If the DOE had followed the law signed on January 23rd, H.R. 6938, and kept those community experts on the job, you wouldn't be in a 35 gigawatt emergency. You would have thousands of small, resilient local hubs ready to weather the storm. But Secretary Wright doesn't want local resilience. He prefers centralized control. So Wright is pivoting to a new project, Nuclear Life Cycle Innovation Campuses. He's promising that these massive nuclear hubs will solve your problems 10 years from now. But you can't heat your home with a promise of a nuclear plant in 2036. You heat your home with a stable grid today. By focusing all your resources on these massive, high-budget corporate projects, the DOE is leaving the average American family to fend for themselves during the worst winter in decades. It is a classic bait and switch, promising a futuristic utopia, while the current system is held together by duct tape and data center backups. So, the Spanish I'm going to be teaching you today is la prioridad es la gente, no los datos. La prioridad es la gente, no los datos. And what that means is, the priority is the people, not the data. If you like this video or you learned something new, drop a like down below. If you have a specific topic that you'd like to see me cover, drop me a comment. And if you'd like to support this work that I do, there'll be a link to the Cashapp in the description box below. And Terry Tells the Story pledges to match every donation for nonprofits in the United States who are doing this work. We'll see you next time.